Now, 12:05 on September 15th, 2023, and I officially call to order the annual conference of the Community College Association of Texas Trustees. My name is Jay Barrett. I am Vice Chair of the Board of Regents at Amarillo College, and I'm also very honored to be the chair of the CCATT Board of Directors. Thank you for allowing me that opportunity to serve. We are delighted to have you with us for this year's conference focused on inspiring innovation, community college governance for the future. We have some great sessions planned for you that are all about thinking toward that future that we all think about all the time. Over the course of this weekend, you will engage in a diverse range of sessions, conversations, and presentations that will provide insight into the latest trends and best practices in community college innovation. Our distinguished speakers and panelists are thought leaders, pioneers, and change agents who will share their expertise, sparking discussions that will drive all our institutions forward. This is our first ever live streamed conference, and so we welcome those of you who've joined us through live streaming. Please note that your questions and comments in this Trinity Ballroom are being recorded. I'm not sure if that's a warning or what, but when I was reading, just know that you're being recorded. Thank you. This event would not be possible without the very generous support of our sponsors and from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. You'll see our sponsors up on the board over here on the screen. Thank you so much to GSV Ventures, Element 451, Greenlight, Empower, and then also Anthology, Timely Care, BibliU, Bickerstaff Health, Delgado Acosta, Cengage, Education Trust Texas, UKG, and Xerox. Please help me show our sponsors our appreciation. We really could not put this conference on the way we're doing it without their support. Please make sure that you go see them if you have not already done that, and thank them for being here and learn about the innovative things that they have to tell you, to show you, and really engage with them today, please. This is a today only event that they'll be set up. I'm telling you what, this has been a great start to this conference already, and we're just now getting started. We had a wonderful quarterly board meeting followed by some afternoon session yesterday with hometown highlights, ending the evening across the way at Big Shot Golf. That's why some of our members today are kind of walking with a little limp, a little bit sore, hadn't played golf maybe some times ever, but it was wonderful to socialize. And so I'm so glad that we got a great start to our conference. We have two fantastic community colleges who serve this Fort Worth area who are here, and we want to have them and the representatives provide some welcome to us. First of all, from we have North Central Texas College and Tarrant County College, and it is my pleasure at this time to invite Carla Metzler, chair of the North Central Texas College Board of Trustees, to join me here on stage and share a few words. Carla is also serving as an at-large member on the CCATT Board of Directors. Carla, would you please come on up?
Good afternoon. Welcome to the annual conference for the Community College Association of Texas Trustees. I'm Carla Metzler of the Board of Regents. I'm the chair of the Board of Regents for North Central Texas College. And you're sitting today in one of the fastest growing areas of Texas, Champions Circle and the Alliance Corridor. Alliance is much more than 27,000 acre master plan community. It's a great place to raise a family, start a business, and embrace innovation. With partners like Meta, Mercedes-Benz, Amazon, BNSF Railway, Bell, just to name a few. Both North Central Texas College and Tarrant County College serve this region's economics mobility needs. North Central Texas College has 7 locations spread throughout Cook, Denton, Montague, and Graham ISD. We currently are just opening our new Champion Circle training facility that provides programs just right across the street in robotics, engineering, plumbing, electrical, and other health-related occupations. So the opportunities here are endless. Already, Denton County is in NCTC service area has grown to 1 million and is expected to grow almost to 3 million by 2030. At the center of this innovation of which this conference is focusing, please take time this year to learn from your colleagues and each other, and welcome to the home of the Lions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carla. Next up, it is my pleasure to invite Teresa Ayala, Chair of the Tarrant County College Board of Trustees, to offer remarks as well. Teresa? Oh, there she is. There she is. Come on up, Teresa.
Good afternoon and welcome to Fort Worth, where the East ends and the West begins, if you haven't already discovered that. Fort Worth is also home to 3 of 5 physical campuses that Tarrant County College District has. And it also is home to our virtual and our nationally recognized online college. I am Teresa Ayala, and it is a privilege for Tarrant County College to be hosting the 2023 CCATT Annual Conference in our own backyard. It is an honor to be here, not only as a board trustee, but also as a former student at Tarrant County College. I'd like to take a moment to just recognize the Board of Trustees with whom I serve. Ms. Jeannie DeKine, who is our secretary, and she's also a veteran. We have Leonard Hornsby, who is our assistant secretary, who's also a veteran. We have Dr. Gwendolyn Morrison, who is our senior person, and she's the heart and soul of our board. And we have trustees Kenneth Barr, who is our vice president, trustee Shannon Wood, and trustee Laura Pritchett. Now, not everyone could be here today, but they do send their regards and they're welcome as well. Joining us also is our chancellor, Dr. Elva LeBlanc. Elva's in the back there. Thank you. We're very happy and proud of Elva because she is a prime example of education to occupation, because she too is a former TCC student. And also we have Vice Chancellor Reginald Gates. Reginald, if you don't mind, wave your, yes. Reginald makes all the magic happen for us. So the community college story is one of promise, and our work in the realm of education, training, and workforce development empowers individuals, it impacts families, and it builds stronger communities. Today, we highlight just a few of TCC's contribution to the community college story by recognizing its past, reveling in its present, and celebrating its future. Under the steady leadership of Chancellor LeBlanc, her leadership team, and dedicated faculty and staff, the institution maintains a high ethical climate where everyone is expected to uphold ethical standards in a culture of care while carrying out their duties to nurture the mission and the college goals. Quite frankly, we are all, and I say all, focused on providing optimum opportunities where all students learn, all students thrive, and all students take their place in the community. Since the opening of our first campus in 1967, Tarrant County College has been laser focused on building futures. And we've consistently served the citizens, businesses, and the community of Tarrant County while remaining committed to its mission of providing affordable and open access to quality teaching and learning. The TCC vision is to be a recognized leader for academic excellence, economic impact, civic responsibility, and personal enrichment. With over 90,000 students and the future workforce of North Texas, the board serves with one voice, functioning as one college, being student-ready, and serving the community. A spirit of innovation is sprinkled throughout our work each and every day and has been a guiding principle for the institution for nearly 6 decades. Consequently, TCC continues to make strides in student achievement and economic impact. I'm just going to give you a few. Since 2010, our dual credit enrollments have increased more than 65%. Dual credit students have historically a success rate of around 90%. About 85% of our early college high school students either graduated from TCC or they continued their studies. TCC adds $2.1 billion in income to the Tarrant County economy. And 1 out of every 54 jobs in Tarrant County is supported by the activities of TCC, its students, and its employees. Our TCC Corporate Solutions and Economic Development has actively engaged with and worked with more than 100 employees from 150 companies. And TCC ranks in the top 10 nationally in the number of associate degrees awarded. Like you, our institution remains committed to continue to proclaim the community college story and its positive impact in our cities, our communities, our counties, our state, and across the nation as well. As we kick off the 2023 conference, I'm reminded of a saying in Spanish that my grandfather used to always tell me, and it was this: el que sabe sobresale, which basically means the one who knows, the one who has the knowledge, comes out on top. So I hope that you soak up all that you possibly can during this conference and take that knowledge back to your communities, because that will help us as we continue to grow and build a stronger Texas. For all those new trustees, congratulations on your decision to serve. And welcome. We've all been in your shoes at one point or another. We invite you to ask lots of questions, and we encourage you to network with many people. For those of you that are seasoned trustees, please share your experiences and share your stories. That way we can all get our knowledge, because remember, el que sabe sobresale. My hope is that the legacy and impact and influence of this organization will continue to serve all of you, will continue to serve our students and our institutions for generations to come. Thank you all for choosing to spend your weekend with us here in Tarrant County, and we wish you an engaged and fulfilling conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. You spoke of one voice, and this past legislative session was really an example of how one voice made a huge difference. We were one voice with TAC and CATT working together. And I just want to take time today to thank TAC representatives who are here today. I would love to have the 19 or so chancellors and presidents please stand and let us recognize you and all the hard work that you've done. to make our colleges great. If y'all would please stand. We are really, truly humbled to be working alongside such great professionals as you. You make us all better. You make us desire more for our communities than we could do alone. So thank you for your leadership and for your vision. We could not do this without you. Speaking of TAC, we have a very special guest today to bring some welcoming words to our conference. Everyone knows Ray Martinez. Ray is a passionate person who knows what he's doing and does what he says. And he has really just done such a great job. I could go on, but suffice it is to say, I want to say that our president and CEO of TAC has done an outstanding job leading us this year. Let's thank him for that. Ray, let me go ahead and thank you for inspiring the team and call you to the podium up here, and let's hear from you, your words of welcome. Thank you so much.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here. Jay, thank you. Thank you for the inspiring words, and thank you for your friendship and your mentorship, and for serving on that search committee you did a year ago. I think Dr. McMillan is here, who I think chaired the search committee. Thank you both. I'm so glad to be here and to have this opportunity. So let me extend a welcome to each of you. It's truly heartwarming for me to see so many familiar faces out in the crowd today among our, of course, CEOs and our trustees, and also to have the opportunity to visit over the next couple of days and get to know new trustees that are here with us, that are going through different orientations, and to make new friendships. It's really a real pleasure for me to be here. Now, I know there'll be ample time to give thanks to a lot of our leadership, but let me, if I could, Jay, just very quickly say a very special thank you first and foremost to the CATT officers, all of whom played such an integral role over the past year in helping us to achieve the things that we have achieved. And I think that is part of the spirit of what we will talk about throughout the next 2 days here. But let me just, if I could, very quickly. So Trustee Jay Barrett, trust from Amarillo College, Trustee Susan Moore Fontenot, who I know I saw yesterday from Lee College, Carol Scott. I haven't seen Carol yet from there's Regent Scott. Carol, great to see you. Armin Cantini, Trustee Cantini, great to see you. And of course, Nicole Eversman, Nicole, my colleague, and we share a wall over at the TAC office, so we see each other a lot. Nicole, thank you for your leadership as well. A round of applause, please. And I can't let an opportunity go by without also thanking the TAC officers, if I could, very quickly. I know we just did a very important welcome and thank you to all of our CEOs. But the TAC officers, talk about family. I mean, gosh, I think I've had more conversations with these 4 individuals over the past 12 months than my own wife, and we are empty nesters now, and so we have a lot of time together. But these CEOs have been terrific. So our current board chair, Dr. William Sadata, Dr. Sadata, the vice chair of the TAC board, Dr. Brenda Case from Kilgore College, Dr. Case. Our Secretary Treasurer, the Chancellor of North Central Texas College, Dr. Brent Wallace. Brent, I think you're around here. And our immediate past chair, Dr. Brenda Hellier, and I think I saw Chancellor Hellier here from San Jacinto College. So here we are. I mean, what a year it's been. And for those of you who may remember, a year ago, and I know it wasn't exactly 12 months ago, because I think the last CATT summer conference was maybe in May or something of last year. Was it June? But for those of you who were there, you'll recall that I joined you at that June conference. I stepped in for Commissioner Keller, who was supposed to be with you all, and he was very regretful because at the last minute he had a trip to DC that he got called to some stuff that he could not miss, and I stepped in. And I had the real privilege of being with you all a year ago. It was in Houston, if I'm not mistaken. And I had a chance to step up at the podium to give a presentation about some of the work we were doing. The hat I was wearing back then was Deputy Commissioner for Academic Affairs and Workforce Education. I was happy to do that, but I must say it's a real pleasure and a real distinct honor for me to stand here today before you all, now having served for the past 12 or 13 months now as President and CEO of the Association of TAC. So it's a real pleasure for me to be here with you all. And let me, if I could, just in the brief time that I have, talk a little bit about why this is so significant and why the timing and really the wonderful presence of such a large, I think Nicole has said it's the largest in terms of attendance, trustee summer meeting, if you will, in the history of CATT, why it's so critical today. And that is, of course, because of what we've all accomplished together through House Bill 8. House Bill 8 marks a watershed moment in our state's higher education policy. It reflects, as we all know, a seismic shift from a funding model that was anchored, of course, for the past 50 years in enrollment to a funding model that is now anchored beginning September 1 of this year, so just a couple of weeks ago, now anchored in outcomes. And let me emphasize that these outcomes are not mere statistics. They are, in fact, the very essence of our mission, which ultimately is the success of the students that we enroll across our 50 community college districts here in Texas. Now, throughout this conference, there'll be multiple conversations where you'll have a chance to dive into some of the specifics about House Bill 8. I think I'm doing a joint presentation with Elizabeth Chivers from the tax staff later this afternoon. One of the breakout sessions will be for those of you who want to take a much deeper dive into the specifics of House Bill 8. Elizabeth and I will be glad to take that dive with you and talk about some of the details of House Bill 8. But let me just highlight a few of the key deliverables that we see from this transformative legislation. First, of course, the successful transfer of students to public four-year institutions. Now, this fundable outcome resulting from House Bill 8 underlies our commitment to providing a seamless educational journey for our students, opening doors to new opportunities and to new pathways. Now, for years now, community colleges have been focused on developing student-centered transfer pathways and assisting students, providing the counseling and academic guidance necessary to make sure that students strive to complete a credential when they enroll in our institutions. In fact, what I just described just now really embodies the work of our Texas Success Center and the work of Dr. Cynthia Farrell and the Guided Pathways work that I know many of you are very familiar with. So a key deliverable, again, of House Bill 8 is the emphasis upon transfer. The second is the attainment of credentials of value, particularly in targeted fields. This aspect of House Bill 8 is a testament to our dedication to equipping our students with the skills and the knowledge that they need to thrive in the job market. There is no better place to achieve short-term training, enhanced deployability, enhanced job mobility, upskilling and reskilling. There is no better place to do that than one of our 50 community colleges across the state of Texas. House Bill 8 rewards that outcome or those outcomes. And third, students completing at least 15 semester credit hours of dual credit. This fundable outcome reinforces our sector's commitment to access, to affordability, and to preparing students for the rigors of higher education. It's important to remember that upwards of 90% of all dual credit instruction offered in the state of Texas, upwards of 90% emanates from, in other words, is at a community college campus or taught by our community college faculty across the state. That's something that we need to tout much more often. It's an important statistic. Furthermore, House Bill 8 recognizes that not all students start from the same place. It provides additional funding for economically disadvantaged students, academically disadvantaged students, and adult learners. This reflects our unwavering commitment to ensuring that every Texan, regardless of their circumstances, has the opportunity to succeed. But let me also emphasize House Bill 8 is more than just headlines. It's a celebration of affordability and access. It paves the way for Texans from diverse backgrounds to pursue their academic dreams without the burden of financial constraints, thanks to enhanced funding for programs like TEOG and the creation of the new financial aid program for low-income dual credit students that we all now know as the FAST program, the new FAST program. So, House Bill 8 underscores that higher education is an investment and not just an expense. There is talk these days, a lot of talk these days about the new normal in higher education, particularly as we ease away from the significant disruptions caused by COVID over the past several years. And I suppose it's appropriate for us to think about what does this new normal mean for community colleges here in the state of Texas? Well, to me, it means a laser focus on preparing students for the jobs of today and tomorrow with programs closely aligned to industry needs. It means offering flexible, stackable credentials that empower students to adapt and upskill throughout their careers. It means forging strong partnerships with employers to ensure that our graduates are in demand. And it means outcomes that lead to credentials of value, especially at a time when the rapid growth of technology and artificial intelligence promises to impact all aspects of our lives. So in conclusion, House Bill 8 heralds a new era for Texas community colleges. We are no longer just institutions of enrollment, we are engines of opportunity and prosperity. Throughout the next few days at this conference, I invite everyone to embrace the transformation or this transformation brought about by House Bill 8 and to begin to ask yourself, how can we leverage this new formula to champion the success of our students and to redefine the value that we bring to our communities and to taxpayers? As elected officials, as trustees, your constituents turn to you. They trust that your decisions will reflect the best interests of your community and your college. Now more than ever, it is imperative that you use your voice to communicate the truly remarkable work happening in our sector across our community colleges here in Texas. We are pioneers of a cutting-edge formula that will transform the way we fund higher education for the next 50 years. But the next 2 years will be critical. Our unity and support of this funding model is arguably, in my opinion, more important today than it was even during the legislative session. We have to stay unified. We have to continue to speak with one voice, particularly over this next 2-year period. Together, we can shape the future of higher education in Texas, create a system that serves all Texans, and make our state a national leader of higher education innovation. There is a spotlight upon us. There are states across the country that are calling, asking, how did you all do it, Texas? How is it going? Will you successfully implement this model? We can be that model for innovation across the country. I look forward to sticking around, to being a part of this conference for the next 2 days, to getting to interact with you. Please stop me along the way as you see me. Let's have conversations. I've had plenty already. I didn't take up a golf club last night because I knew I'd be limping today if I did. But I've been around, and I look forward to being around and interacting with everybody over the next 2 days. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your public service as trustees in regions across our state. And thank you, Jay. Thank you, Kat, for the strong partnership that we have between our CEOs here in Texas and our trustees. It is critical to our continued success for our community colleges. Thank you all for having me today.
Thank you so much, Ray. I think we got it right, didn't we, Jeremy? We got it right. Thank you so much, Ray. Appreciate you so much. Before we go on and bring our keynote speaker to the stage, I've got a change in the script a little bit. First of all, I want you to notice that on your table there is a QR code. You don't have to do it right now, but just know that QR code will lead you to some information on our website. It has all the conference slides. It's got all of the presentations there. It'll bring up the website that you can look at all those things at a later time or right now. You're free to do that. But just know that we have that as a resource for you. We also have this wonderful conference workbook. I love this. This looks really good. And especially page 3 looks really good. If you'll turn to page 3, I'm just saying, this is all about innovation, right? This is an AI generated picture of me, and it was worth the $15 that I paid to get it done. I'm just saying. I showed this to the I brought this out and showed the directors yesterday at our meeting, and someone had the audacity to say, Jay, it looks like you had some work done. And I'm like, I didn't know I needed work done, but okay. Also, in the spirit of innovation, I went to my friend Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT to come up with some ideas for icebreaker for leading community college trustees yesterday. And I came up with, what's your superpower? Ask each trustee to share a unique skill or talent they possess outside their trustee role and how that helps them become and lead, become a great, effective leader in your community college. And I honestly did not know where this was going to go. But let me just read this to you because it's powerful. We had trustees who answered the following way. And to me, I want you to think right now of your superpower, everyone in this room. You are a superhero to your colleges, to your learners, and to your entire community. What is your superpower that helps get that work done? Well, let me tell you, this is a great definition. It could be a job description for anyone who is wanting to be a college trustee. Positive energy. That was mine. Connector, a strategic thinker, an innovator, someone who convenes to a cause. Empathy, committed, consensus builder, total dependence on faith. We need that, absolutely. Service and problem solver, service-minded and problem solver, someone with a positive attitude, team builder, futuristic thinker, a listener, consensus builder with historical perspective, and someone who is not easily intimidated. Would you all like that on your board? Isn't that awesome? I mean, that was just amazing to sit there and listen to everyone. And I thought, this is powerful. You know, about the effective communication and all of that. My wife thinks I need to work on that a little bit. She was telling me the other day, we had this conversation, and she started out by saying, you haven't heard a single thing I've said, have you? And I thought to myself, what an interesting way to start a conversation. But anyway, yeah, she tells me I don't listen. I'm like, well, I may be in the other room sometimes, but anyway, this conference workbook, if you really seriously would scope through there, more important than my AI generated picture are the pictures on page 51 at the back. We've already highlighted Susan Moore Fontenot. Susan, thank you so much. Carol, your leadership continues. We appreciate you. Armand Cantini, appreciate your leadership on our board. But then there are others who are here, are other directors, and I will ask them to stand, please, and let's give them a round of applause. Cliff Boyd from Dallas College, Mike Hembry from Trinity Valley Community College, Kay Paul Holt from McLennan Community College, Mr. Chuck Johns, Northeast Texas Community College, Carla Metzler, you met this morning already from North Central Texas College, Carla. Belle Sanchez, Alvin Community College, Paul Rodriguez from South Texas College, Bonnie Soria Nahara from El Paso Community College. Let's give these folks, these very hardworking people, a great round of applause. Thank you so much. Please use this workbook. There are a lot of notes aligned to each of the presentations, and we want you to make sure that those are available to you. So, let me see where I am in this script. So now it is my great pleasure, and I'll tell you, Mr. Moe, Cliff has really talked you up. And so you're going to have to live up to his expectations for this presentation, right, Cliff? Okay, so let me tell you about Mr. Moe. It is my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Michael Moe, founder and CEO of GSV Ventures, with more than 25 years of experience as a national leader in innovation. Michael will offer insights today on what community colleges can do to meet the workforce needs of the future. As CEO of GSV, Moe co-founded the ASU plus GSV Summit, a collaboration between Arizona State University and GSV that brings together leaders in business and education to build a more equitable future. Over 130 countries are represented at this annual convening. Michael is the co-author of 3 books: Finding the Next Starbucks, need that one, The Global Silicon Valley Handbook, and his most recent book, The Mission Corporation. Michael holds a BA in political science and economics from the University of Minnesota and is a chartered financial analyst, CFA, and he and his wife Bonnie live in Dallas, Texas, where they moved in 2021 after living in Silicon Valley for 25 years. Welcome to our community. Michael, please, let's all thank Michael for coming up and giving us this wonderful presentation.
Well, it was a really kind introduction. I want to thank my friend Cliff Boyd for giving me such a warm, the opportunity to be here, and also Chancellor Justin Lonan from Dallas College, who I've gotten the pleasure of spending time with over the last couple of years since we moved to Dallas. Make sure this works. Okay. So far, we're in a little bit of a maybe you can just hit it. Thank you.
This is the enemy of war, the nemesis of poverty, the killer of things that kill potential. Learning isn't a good thing. It's everything.
That's a little promo to get things going, but I got interested, you might wonder, how somebody in the investment business got interested in the education industry. And I was a research analyst covering fast-growing companies, and I kept on hearing over and over, 25 years ago, what's the biggest impediment for you to be successful, for you to continue to grow? And the answer kept on coming back and back. We're having trouble finding knowledge workers, are having trouble finding people with the skills, education they need to be successful. That was 25 years ago, right? If you look what's happened in that time period, it's only exploded in terms of what the demands are and what the obstacles and issues are. So I wrote a white paper in 1996 called The Dawn of the Age of Knowledge. In that white paper, forecast the emergence of the knowledge economy, how the internet was going to change everything, and how education was really going to be at the center of the knowledge economy, because in a global marketplace, a knowledge-based economy, what you knew, your education made the difference, not only for an individual, but for a company, and for that matter, a country. So that began my whole excursion into this industry. And I'm really sorry that these slides aren't flipping, because we got a lot of slides that I got to go through really quick. Okay, is this going to work? Maybe I can go like this. You can just watch me. Okay, I'm gonna give this is a hand signal, and be on the alert, because we got a bunch of slides and I usually go through them really, really quick. So here we go. So the North Star that we had at GSV, which stands for Global Silicon Valley from the very beginning, is to give everybody an equal opportunity to participate in the future, the foundation of which is giving access to quality education knowledge. So GSV, just a quick, so you understand, where we're coming from. We have 6 offices around the world. As was mentioned, Dallas is now our headquarters, part of the Texas movement. Investments that we've made in the past include Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Palantir, Nextdoor, Snap, Dropbox. And GSV Ventures is really known for its investing in the ed tech space. And so we've been fortunate enough to invest in 15 of the 30 unicorns that exist in education technology, companies like Guild, Byju, Coursera, Degreed, Learneo. We put a weekly investment piece newsletter free to all of you. You want to subscribe, there's no cost. It's called EIEIO. What does that mean? I say that Old McDonald had a startup, Old McDonald had a farm, EIEIO. New McDonald has a startup, EIEIO. It's about entrepreneurship, innovation, education, impact, and creating equal opportunity for everybody. As mentioned, we have a summit that we host in San Diego. I'd like all of you to come next year. It's April 14th to the 17th. We'll have 900 education technology companies present at the conference. 7,000 people will attend from around the world. We've had President Bush, President Obama, Bill Gates, Howard Schultz, Tony Blair, and many, many others come to this event. The idea is really to provide the connectivity between business leaders, government leaders, entrepreneurs, investors. Next slide. We, in conjunction with that, have the GSV Cup, which is a startup competition for education technology companies. We've had 800 competitors, $1 million in prizes. And then from that, we created the Texas Cup, which is actually broader around the mission movement. My Catherine Merrick, who is here, could back up, who's, I got to make sure not to use hand movements because I'll be mistaken for moving the slides. So we did the Texas Cup really with the idea of focusing on building a national, ultimately global competition around mission companies, combining purpose and profits. We had our first Texas Cup last year. We had two universities here that participated, Dallas College as well as TCC. We had 100 competitors. We had the finals at SMU, and we'll continue to build that. We'd love everybody to participate in that. Next slide, please. We have a startup boot camp for entrepreneurs that we make available. We've done it for the last 3 years. We've had 10,000 entrepreneurs go through that boot camp. We have an online MBA for entrepreneurship. And the next year, we'll open our first innovation center, GSV Labs in Dallas, which will be in so good, just south of downtown. So if you look back in terms of context, 500 years ago, the circle of life looked basically like this. You lived and died within 5 miles of where you were born. Effectively, your parents' past equaled your future. And then the last 500 years, we've had planes, trains, and automobiles. And so the world's become a smaller place, and theoretically, your opportunity is being able to grow with that. But you look at inequality continues to be a very persistent issue. And part of that is just looking at the difference of opportunity that you have between somebody who's born poor and somebody who's more affluent. We all know about the 30 million word gap that happens by age of 4 between poor kids and wealthier kids. And what does that mean? 52% of the kids that are low income that go to kindergarten aren't ready for school. So if you start from behind, it's hard to ever catch up. If you don't able to catch up, ultimately you can basically fall out of the process. Looking at what's happened in America, so in 2000 there had 4 states that had 50% of the more of the children in school were from poor families, which sounds remarkable in a country as wealthy as the United States, how that could even exist. Well, today there's 21 states where 50% or more of the kids are low income. What are the consequences of that? If you're a low income family, you're 5 times more likely to drop out of high school, you're 8 times more likely to go to prison. 80% of the US population, prison population, comes from high school dropouts. So we need to turn prisons into prep schools. That's a story for a different time. But looking at the way that the correlation between family income and test scores for the SAT, there's a direct correlation between how wealthy your family is and what your SAT is, which, what gets you into the most elite schools. So what the SAT does the best job of predicting is how wealthy your family is. 75% of the students in the elite schools come from top 25% quartile family incomes. And so effectively what this means is the admissions director at Harvard becomes the hiring director at Google. And looking at the bottom, if you come from a bottom quartile family, you have a 15% chance of graduating from any college. So you add this all up, and what does this mean? That if you're born poor, you have a 70% chance of remaining poor. So this illusion of the American dream is really a problem. So we've come full circle. Your future is determined by how well you selected your parents. And that fundamentally is something that is wrong and something that needs to be changed if we're going to try to grow to the aspirations for our society. So things do change. So looking at how things have changed over time, if you look at 200 years ago, the United States was made up of basically the East Coast less Florida, If you went from the East Coast to the West Coast, it would take you a generation and you lose half your travel party. Today, when you go from New York to San Francisco, it's a 6-hour flight. And if your Wi-Fi doesn't work, you're pissed off. This is a slide from the tour. Go back, slide from the tour. So I'm gonna go like, I'm gonna use, I'm gonna use this hand. You're right. I gotta quick use my hands. So this is, I'm gonna put my hands right here. This is a picture from the Tour de France 100 years ago. So you can see they're all smoking cigarettes. Why? 100 years ago, it was conventional wisdom that smoking enhanced your athletic performance. So 100 years ago, Detroit, Michigan was the innovation capital of the world, and Henry Ford was the Elon Musk of his day. 100 years ago, Silicon Valley was a farm, literally. In Stanford, very few people had heard about west of the, or east of the Mississippi. Today, obviously, Silicon Valley is the home of many of the game-changing businesses such as Apple, Intel, Facebook, and so forth. And the biggest change agent probably in the history, certainly the technology world, this guy, Gordon Moore, who ultimately became known as Moore's Law, because he had postulated that technology was computer power is going to double every couple years. What's so interesting about Moore's Law is it wasn't a scientific law or physical law. It was basically Gordon Moore imposing his will upon an industry, not only transforming technology, but the world as we know it. So consequences of Moore's Law, just in the last 20 years, the cost of computing is down 99%. Cost of storage is down 99%, with infinite capacity of storage. So if the automobile industry showed that same type of progress, a Ford Taurus that cost $20,000 in 1990 would cost less than $1 today, and you'd throw it away after you used it. 50 years ago, the 5 largest market cap companies in the world were manufacturing-based, industrial-based businesses. And 2 of these companies, General Motors and Chrysler, actually went bankrupt during the next 50 years. You look at the 5 largest market cap companies in the world today, they're all knowledge-based businesses, and none of them existed 50 years ago. Here's interesting. So market cap of Apple versus BlackBerry. Remember BlackBerry? Put your hand up if you remember BlackBerry. So 2007, they called it Crackberry because people were so addicted to it. Well, you look at the market cap of Apple and BlackBerry were the exact same in 2007. What's happened today? Boom. Apple's now the largest market cap company in the world, and BlackBerry is a fraction of its former self. And the innovation here wasn't the phone, it was the app economy that was built upon that phone. Take a close look at this picture. This is St. Peter's Square in 2005. You got it? Look at St. Peter's Square today. What's changed is this explosion of digital photography. What's so interesting, in a world where everybody has become a photographer, Kodak, which was synonymous with photography, went bankrupt. Again, innovation, and you get better, you get worse, you don't stay the same. Time to reach 50 million people. So what's happened, not only have things changed, but they're changing faster and faster and faster. So here's the time it took from when a technology was commercialized to reaching 50 million customers. Airlines, 68 years. Telephone, 50 years. Electricity, 46 years. Computer, 14 years. Cell phone, 12 years. Internet, 7 years. Facebook, 3 years. Twitter, 2 years. ChatGPT, 5 weeks. So this is how fast things are changing. So what does this mean? We call it a gigatrend. And so here's how human capabilities have been changing, basically on a linear path. Technology is on an exponential curve. And what does that mean? We're here. So it's not just blue collar jobs that are at risk. It's not just white collar jobs at risk. No collar jobs are at risk because things are changing and technology replacing jobs that existed that we thought were basically safe forever, including the technologists. Oops, I think this is a video, right? I'm really sorry for this. We thought we had it. You know what? Why don't we skip the video? So that was a really good video from Maverick. I'm sure you all saw Maverick, but the point is it's not that it's going to necessarily replace jobs, but jobs are going to change. So even just looking at 100 years ago, 30% of all jobs that existed in America were agriculture related. And today it's 1%. You look back at that slide of the manufacturing economy, there's been more than 5 million jobs taken out of the Fortune 500 in the past 30 years, mainly the industrial jobs, and it's all been created with these new knowledge-based jobs. Next slide. So looking at, I don't think that this is a bad thing. I think the advancement, people get scared about technology, say this is a bad thing, we got to slow things down. Well, it's like gravity, so that's not going to slow down. I think it's going to be this major catalyst for the advancement of humanity, but we got to reimagine what it looks like to be an educated person in the future. And things like the empathy that only a nurse can provide, that's never going to be replaced from technology. So I like to say, as a horse that can count to 10 is a remarkable horse, but it's not a remarkable mathematician. And I think the same should be thought about as we think about what does it mean, again, in terms of what humans can do versus what technology can do. So as I think about the future, we got software which codifies knowledge. We got AI, which makes that codified knowledge intelligent. And they have humans on top of it, and I call that the smart layer. So my friend Mark Andreessen said that software is eating the world, which is true. AI is its teeth, but humans decide what to eat. My friend Bill Campbell said, when we have facts, we'll use facts. When we just have opinions, we'll use mine. They call him the coach of Silicon Valley. So when you think about what all this generative AI means, the more content is AI generated, the more it becomes a commodity, and the opportunity is always going to be on the edge. So, but the future, good is gone, great isn't enough, outstanding is the future. So it's not man versus machine, it's man and machine. So if you look at the last 30 years, it was revenge of the nerds. The opportunity is really created by the technologists. And again, that's not going away, but if you want to look at the future, I think it's really back to the future. And what that means is this Renaissance skill, somebody who, what's the most important thing to know? It's how to learn and how to keep on adapting and evolving. And so as we think about, you can't use an old map in a new world. So you can't apply what happened in the past to the future. So I think about what are the knowledge keys for a learned person, for somebody who wants to fulfill their potential and to realize their dreams. There's what I call the 7 C's for this new map. And so these 7 C's, what I think are the foundational for what you need to know to be successful. First one, critical thinking. How do you solve problems analytically? Creativity. I mean, again, if anybody who's used ChatGPT for longer than just a quick magic trick will realize it can't replace humans in terms of the way that you're able to think up new ideas and new solutions. Communication, whether it's verbal communication or what you do with a PowerPoint. I need a lesson, obviously. Or other ways text, how you're going to communicate effectively. That's a core skill. Cultural fluency. We are in a global marketplace, and how we can be respectful and knowledgeable about other people's cultures and norms is incredibly important. How effective we're going to be in this world. Civic engagement, having an understanding about what it means to be a citizen and the duties, responsibilities that you have. Collaboration, teamwork. I'll tell you, there's nothing like, even in this new world of remote work, how do you work as a team? How can you be effective as a group of individuals? That's really, really important. And the last is character. I mean, the values that are fundamental to being a person in society that that can be trusted and has integrity to it. Those 7 C's really are the foundations, I believe, of the future of learning. In the old world, elite meant scarcity. The more scarce you were, the more elite you were. That doesn't make sense. What makes sense is elite equals excellence. In the old world, cost equaled quality. That doesn't make any sense either. It's really outcomes. And it was mentioned before, it's all about outcomes. Outcomes is the determinant of quality. In the old world, your calendar was the progression. That doesn't make sense. It's mastery that means the progression. Looked at the school you went to, create the job options that you might have available to you. That doesn't make sense. Your competence, the different things you're able to brings job options. By the way, I think artificial intelligence is going to help that. Race and gender equal opportunity. Of course, that's absurd. It's really the content of character that generates opportunity. What we do know, and has been true, and I think it will remain true, in some degree, but again, be enhanced by other things we're going to talk about, is the direct correlation between your level of education and your overall income. And for a country, back to education, there's a direct correlation between GDP per capita and the level of education attainment within a country. And so, not surprisingly, if you look at the growth of the higher education market, there's 500,000 students globally in 1900. By 2010, it grew to 160 million. Today, it's 245 million students globally. And by 2030, it's expected to be 414 million students. Obviously, almost all that growth is outside the United States. And a lot of that's going to be online. So looking at the size of the education market, $7.5 trillion globally, growing to $10 trillion by 2030. So it's the second largest industry in the world next to healthcare. Looking at digital learning. So digital learning in 2019 was $160 billion, that $7 trillion market. So about 2% of the overall education market. And we say that was, we had a forecast at GSV that it was going to reach $1 trillion by 2034. And then what happened? In March of 2020, you had 1.6 billion students thrown the deep end of the online learning pool and told to sink or swim. Some sank, some crawled to the edge of the pool and got out and said, we're never going back in. But many flailed around a little bit and started to get the hang of it. And so the genie's not going back in the bottle. Online learning is going through a permanent accelerant. And so effectively, the future is accelerated to the present. And what we see is that $1 trillion market that was going to happen in 2034 is going to happen by 2027. So here's a pop quiz. Everybody ready to participate at this? Okay, here's some schools: Harvard, Brown, Dartmouth, Rutgers, Columbia University, Princeton, Penn, Cornell, and Yale. Which of those schools doesn't belong? Which schools? Gotta be louder. Rutgers? Well, Rutgers would be one way to answer it because all the other schools are Ivy League schools. Another way you could answer it, though, is Cornell, because Cornell was started in 1869. All the other schools were started before the Revolutionary War, which you can't think of another industry where the leaders of before this country existed are the leaders today. That's almost hard to imagine, right? 4,500 universities in the United States. What Jeff Bezos said in 2000 is your margin is my opportunity. So since he said that, there's been 1,453 retail bankruptcies. Number of banks has been cut in half effectively. You look at those 4,500 universities I talked about. This is a picture of a company called a university called CEOof College. How many people have heard of CEOof? A lot. Well, many, if you're not from Minnesota, many people haven't heard. I happen to be from Minnesota. The point is, these universities have beautiful buildings. They have, they charge a lot of money. And I think they're very vulnerable unless they imagine what the future looks like to how they're going to be thriving in the future. You have 18 million college enrollment students in the United States. And what does a typical college look like? Here's a picture of LSU. Here's another picture. So the basic college university, how people imagine the typical college university, it has the dormitories, it has the ivy-covered brick buildings, it has the classes during the day offered twice a year, it has the football team, it has the marching band. That all is how you picture it. And to get to those universities, this is University of Kentucky. You might have seen the Wall Street Journal article. University of Kentucky spent $1 million a day on facilities for the past decade. $1 million a day. Here's the number of community colleges in the United States, 1,038. The average age of a community college student is 27. The percent of U.S. college students with a full-time job. Think about this. Percentage of U.S. college students with a full-time job, 40%. You think of the number of community college students with a job, 80%. Percent of U.S. college students with children, 25%. Percent of community college students that are first generation, 30%. Percent of community college students that are non-white, 55%. Percent of community college students take at least one class online, 77%. The graduation rate, 43%. Percent of U.S. college students who are non-traditional, 73%. So you think about those $1 million a day on facilities and the football team and the marching band and the classes during the day. Okay, You think that's the traditional student? No, 73% of the students are non-traditional. So the non-traditional students is actually the normal student. So in 2011, the question was asked to students, was college worth it? And 86% of the students 10 years ago said yes. 14% no. What do you think's happened in the last 10 years? 56% of college students don't think it's worth it anymore. Next slide, please. So since 2000, the cost of TVs has gone down 97%. The cost of toys has gone down 72%. The cost of software has gone down 71%. Textbooks have gone up 163%. College tuition has gone up 180%. What did Jeff Bezos say? Your margin is my opportunity. Clay Christensen, the HBS professor who passed away, the author of the Innovator's Dilemma, said that 50% of college will be bankrupt by 2028. I don't know that that's correct, but you can see this innovation, this transformation that's occurring. You see this mishmash between how people view the value of it and how people are setting priorities and what's actually going on. Cost of SMU, $86,000 per year. You're buying a new Tesla every single year. So talking about, as I wrap up, about in terms of just the comments, and this will get maybe directly relevant for you. Top 10 learning themes. First, I call it live and learn. Live and learn means that you no longer are going to fill up your knowledge tank to age 25 and drive off through life. You're going to continually need to be learning things. So the old system, you played from 0 to 5, you learned from 5 to 25, you had a job from 25 to 65, and then you retired. Okay. With the new system, you're going to learn from the time you're born to the time you retire, if you ever retire. And you're going to be doing this on an ongoing basis. You're going to be acquiring this knowledge in a different way. So let me ask a question. Let me go back to the slide, please. So if I asked you if I asked you if you were educated, you'd say, yeah, I went to college and maybe have a master's degree, whatever. Well, I think this kind of idea of lifelong learning is like if I asked you, are you physically fit? And you said, oh yeah, I'm physically fit. I ran a marathon in 2004. That's what this is going to mean like in this world that when I talk about this change that's going on and how fast this change is going on and what AI is going to do. And as you reimagine the future, if I ask you if you're educated and say, I got a college degree, it's just the beginning. And by the way, and I think that's the opportunity for community colleges. So other facts that you're probably aware of, 12 times job, the Department of Labor says you're gonna have 12 different jobs in your lifetime. 85% of the jobs that exist in 2030 don't exist yet. 53% of the Fortune 500 needs to be reskilled by 2028. Think about that. Companies like Coursera, we were fortunate to be investors in, have 129 million learners on its platform. 96% of them don't pay a dime for having access to 200 universities around the world and other great content. And a derivative of that, Grow with Google, which is powered by Coursera, already has 300,000 graduates on it. 75% earn new jobs or promotions, and it costs $49 per month. Second theme, knowledge as a currency. In the old world, the diploma was your currency to exchange for opportunity. In the new world, it's not that the diploma goes away, but it's not enough. It's got to be augmented by back to this lifelong learning, live and learn concept. You're going to need to continually be learning and building your knowledge portfolio over time. Less than 5% of all roles at AT&T require a college degree today. You might have seen the recent LinkedIn study that showed that increasingly large employers are saying that it's not, a degree or not degree. They're looking for skills, they're looking for capabilities, they're looking for the ability to learn. Degree is a company that we've invested in. 1 in 3 Fortune 500, 50 companies utilize it. It's basically a way that to account for your knowledge portfolio, which includes a degree, but other ways that you're able to effectively build credit in your knowledge portfolio. Number 3 trend, unbundling the college degree. So in the old world, you had one option, you had a closed system proprietary. It was like buying a record. And so whether you listen to 1 or 2 songs, but you had to buy all 12, right? Then Spotify comes along, and Spotify basically gives you access to you build your own playlist. So building your own playlist of learning courses you want, other ways you're able to learn create knowledge. There's another theme I call news to knowledge, which would be part of this. These are all ways of this kind of modern knowledge portfolio that you're going to build. To you and edX, 78 million learners on that platform. Again, from tuition to subscription model. Number 4 trend, robo-ed. This is where artificial intelligence is coming into the picture in terms of how it's, how it's going to change learning. And this is something that we've dreamed about for a long time, because the opportunity is to create individualized learning, basically advancing you where you're proficient, going back where you're deficient, how you best learn, and really become a study partner for you. Let's see if this video works. Okay, if we have to go back to the Google, it's not going to work. Let's keep on going. Okay, so Learneo is an example, robo-ed, 115 million pieces of study content on the Coursera platform. Quillbot, helping primarily non-native English learners to be able to write English more proficiently. Photomath, be able to take your iPhone or your phone and take a picture of a math problem, and it not only instantly comes back with the answer, but it shows you how to get there. And if you need more help, you get your own personal study buddy, AI robot that's going to help you understand and learn that concept. Number 5, autonomous learning. This is the idea of the old world. It was just in case learning, meaning you took a class somehow, some way for you to be able to use it sometime. Now it's just in time learning. You're learning something right when you need to learn it. And that's, again, I think a trend that we're seeing in a major way. A company called iLearning Engines is effectively ChatGPT for the enterprise, because what enterprise can't do is have hallucinations. That's what they call these generative AI answers that sound so confident, but are often wrong. Gong, another example of this trend, shows almost a 500% ROI for sales in 3 years. ThoughtSpot, basically having a consultant on your desktop. Number 6 trend here, called higher ed, HIRE ed. So historically, you looked at the separation between what you learned and what you earned. Increasingly, that's going to be combined. So 93% of college students say the number 1 priority is to get a job, but only 15% of college professors think that students' number 1 priority is get a job. Okay, so when you look at historically, you had education, called peanut butter, and you had work, called jelly, and they were separate. And somebody actually realized, put it together, and you have something that's absolutely delicious. And I think that's, again, how we're thinking about, the future of learning, the future for higher ed and this lifelong learning. It's learning to earn. So 81% of students want company-led projects and professional certification prep. Only 30% of schools offer them. Only 27% of people have a job closely related to their major. So looking at companies that are addressing this issue, my friend Jason Samuel is here in the room. Has a company called TAP. It's turning jobs into careers. We're very proud to be investing in that. And he's based in Dallas. Another Dallas company we're investing in called Upsmith Tech to solve America's skilled worker crisis. So what I say is you got to put the community back into college. And by that, what I'm really saying is community college ideally situated to be embedded in the community, not just for the classic student, but it's all the way through the continuum. It's for the corporations, it's for the parents, it's for the people that need to be retrained or to be learning on a lifelong basis. That's the opportunity, that's the need, and that's where I see the future heading. So companies, some examples: Dell and Austin Community College for IT professionals, Boeing and Mesa Community College for electrical electricians, Cisco and Chabot College for network engineers, Nova Community College and AWS cloud computing degree. Number 7 theme, invisible learning. So again, think of this idea that you're going to be learning on an ongoing basis, and you're not going to drop out of life to continue to learn. You have mortgages, you have families, and so forth. So you got to be learning in the natural way that you're actually doing things. And so, example, games is a terrific way that I think that people are going to be learning in the future. Roblox already has 50 billion hours spent per year on it. Kids are learning different key skills. Duolingo, you're learning a foreign language by playing games. There's 16 million students. It's a 6.5 billion market cap. Kahoot, it's called the second coolest brand among Gen Z in Western Europe, playing quizzes and games. Number 8 theme, Hamilton, I call it Hollywood meets Harvard. I think Hamilton has taught more people about American history than they learned in a traditional class. And by this, I hope this video, let's get this video to work, please. But what Hollywood does a great job, I'll tell you in a second. I'll tell you when to hit it in a second. What Hollywood does a great job of is create engaging, you can't learn if you're not engaged, right? And what Hollywood does an amazing job of telling stories and creating stars of actors and getting scale impact, right? Okay, well, pay attention. Go ahead, please hit this.
Just sing a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this tiny ship. The name was a mighty sailor, and the ship was brave and sure. 5 passengers set sail that day.
Okay. Okay. At the count of 3, I want you to give, next slide, please. Okay. On the count of 3, I want you to give me the answer to this question. 1, 2, 3. Okay, next slide. What's the quadratic formula? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. You got my point. Play the next video, please. Okay, this is a program called
The
Dreamscape.
agrarian forest is a complex network in which energy moves from one organism to another.
More of a hands-on learner, so this helped me really see most of the information, and I felt like a true scientist when I was in there.
It's pretty shocking. I went in and expecting something. It's dope. Seeing everything around me.
Okay, you can hit it. So this is done by a company called Dreamscape in Los Angeles, which is on DreamWorks, and they partnered with Arizona State to create a biology class. And what they found, they started with very small, about 90 students. Now they found such effectiveness as they tested between their traditional biology class and what they were able to do with Dreamscape. They've basically adopted everything to Dreamscape. And you're starting to see again in this new world is how Hollywood meets Harvard. You can't learn if you're not engaged. How can you do it in a way that people effective? It's been wildly effective. Number 9, my body and soul. Plato said that the purpose of education is to give the body and the soul all the beauty and all the perfection which they are capable. Company's example of this: 25% decrease in depression, anxiety after 8 weeks. We know there's a crisis in the world about in students, particularly with mental illness. 78% of people lost weight using Noom. Hallow, 100 million prayers a day. These are all examples of mind, body, and soul. The number 10 theme, education of benefit, which again is a critical opportunity for you guys in this room. And that is 30 years ago, healthcare became this must-have benefit, because if you wanted to attract and retain people, you needed healthcare, you needed quality healthcare as a benefit. Well, education increasingly is becoming that, because when you look at the number 1 reason why somebody leaves their job, lack of development. The flip side of that is the number 1 thing that employees are looking for from an employer is education opportunities, ways to advance their skill set and their knowledge. Companies like Guild that work with major corporations, and 5 million frontline workers are part of in Stride, which actually was spun out of ASU. 57,000 employees they work with. I wrote a book as I conclude a couple of years ago called The Mission Corporation. I'm going to hopefully thread this all together. So the Mission Corporation, basically what we saw was this evolution of capitalism, which has been an incredible movement to bring people into standard of living and so forth. But there are elements of capitalism that have been broken. And you look at young people, they don't trust it. And over 50% think socialism is actually a better system. And it's not because young people are stupid, it's because what they've experienced. They've experienced a system that is unequal. They haven't seen the same kind of fairness that they felt was right. And they basically said there's a better world that needs to happen. So when you're seeing this trend, we talk about a mission corporation is really combining purpose and profits. And what I'd like to say is I think the great businesses of tomorrow are going to have the ambition of a for-profit and the heart of a not-for-profit. So we felt that was such an important fundamental for my whole adult life. We had the 4 Ps we looked for in a great business: great people, leading product, huge potential, and predictability. We added a 5th P, purpose, because we think you can't be a great company for the future unless you have purpose embedded in what you're doing. You know, Gen Z's dream job, being their own boss. 62% of Gen Z intends to start their own business, and the universities at 65% say that they're going to start their own business or work at a startup. And one of the great things about that is all sorts of free tools are available to start a business, which is great, and it's changed quite a bit. So it's 10,000 times cheaper to launch a startup today than it was even 20 years ago. But the fundamentals of starting a business remain the same, which is 80% of startups fail within 3 years. The likelihood of bankruptcy for many of these founders is immense, and all sorts of other complications from it. So one of the great opportunities too, I believe, for the community college system is how you treat, everybody should be an entrepreneur. So whether you actually start your own business or whether you are working in a company, entrepreneurial skills, entrepreneurial mindset, those capabilities are going to be fundamental, particularly in a world that's changing as fast as it is. So you've heard about growth investors and value investing. I say that we're looking at it as values investing. And that's combining purpose and profits, having the smarts and hearts. You can tell when you're looking at smarts and hearts, there's no color of skin, there's no gender. You're looking for hearts and smarts. So I think the opportunity, again, for the people in this room is you create meaning through learning and purpose through work. And to combine that creates something very powerful. So Mark Twain said, the 2 most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. And so as I wrap up, you look at how complex what you guys do in this room. People talk about education, they say it's not just one thing. It's like whack-a-mole. You hit one problem down and 2 pop up, right? Well, actually, I do think there's a silver bullet. And what is that silver bullet? Silver bullet's love. Because if we love our neighbors, we love ourselves. And if we look at this issues, how do we, start with back to the beginning, give everybody an equal opportunity to participate in the future, the foundation, which is having access to quality education and knowledge, and we love people, and that's where we start, we can solve this, we can do this together. So with that, I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I was asked if I'd take any questions, and the answer is no. No, I'm not wrong. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I'd be delighted to take any questions that you have. Well, it's always tough to ask the first question, then all of a sudden it usually happens. So go ahead.
They'll go right there. Go in.
Awesome. Thank you for your insight. Just have a question really quickly. So I know we talk about equitable access to opportunity, but I think all of us in this room, we're hoping that you could maybe help us a little bit with how do we create equitable access to information so that people can partake in opportunity. That's the thing that I get hung up on the most is equity of access to information.
Well, again, I think what's exciting is there's incredible information that's available to us at our fingertips. The bad news is we're in a world of infobesity. And by that, I mean, we're overwhelmed by information. So how do you identify specific signals through all the noise? So by the way, I think there's a tremendous opportunity to be that knowledge center for whether you're talking about a specific community or broader affinity groups. I mean, I think that's a tremendous opportunity to be focused on because again, there is so much misinformation, disinformation, bad information, that being able to help people navigate between where they're at today. In the end, as much as I think the generative AI is wildly exciting in terms of what you see the potential being, today, all it's really doing, I mean, as is creating more noise. Right? It's like, I mentioned hallucinations. I mean, if you're trying to get specific information about something that's critical to you, you can't give, being given a very confident but inaccurate solution doesn't really help. So again, I think there's an opportunity to be a curator of information or to be an organizer of information. We didn't talk about the metaverse, but I do think, so again, metaverse went being very, very, like was the next hot thing to being effectively, it was a fad. I don't think the metaverse is a fad. I think the metaverse is going to play a very valuable role for people creating online communities and toggling between their physical world and their virtual world. We certainly know the young people spend an awful lot of time in their virtual world. And so creating these organized communities with knowledge around them, I think is a tremendous opportunity for this room and for and the need for society. So it's a great question. It's a tough problem, but it's certainly a problem that can be solved. Thank you.
So what are your thoughts about as jobs rapidly change and go away? There are new jobs created, but there's this big transition to get to them. And also the fear that for every 2 jobs we eliminate, we'll only have 1 new job come around. I don't know if you know of any places that are doing a good job of helping, let's say, former manufacturing workers in this country get into those new skill opportunities.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I think you're right. And some people say the answer to that transition is some type of universal basic income type of formula where you're basically giving people money to help them maybe never work. That's what some people in Silicon Valley think the answer is. I guess I'm more hopeful that the solutions or the transition opportunities are out there. But back to the previous question, some of what we need to do is be more efficient by how we help people make that transition. Because again, one thing that I believe is that people have an amazing ability to adapt if they're provided the right tools and coaching to get there. And so I think that again is a function that's a real valuable. I mean, that's I think thinking about the kind of reimagination of what the role of community college can be, in the community, is helping making those transitions. Again, a lot of that's going to happen online, but some of that's going to happen and needs to happen in a physical context. And I think, again, most of this is going to happen in kind of a hybrid between the two. And again, I think of that kind of partner for a community, the partner for a person as they're going through their life journey. But they're going to need to be learning on an ongoing basis. They're going to be transitioning from what you call a manufacturing job to a knowledge-based job. I mean, those are all that, that's all I think in the realm of possibilities. It's not simple, but it needs to be focused, prioritized, and coordinated. Cliff.
Michael, can you share some time with us about the fact that higher ed has always been kind of on a reactionary mode of reacting to what is here versus what's going to be here? So what advice can you give us as to how, as higher education, that we can get on the other side of the power curve and being prepared for what's coming instead of reacting to what's already here?
Well, so again, I think higher education, like in most industries, all industries, it's people are involved, and people have a difficult time of reimagining. It's I could tell you stories, and I don't want to tell you more stories, but the bottom line is people have a way of kind of applying what they'd had in the past to the present and the future. And I think where your question is getting at is, we're no longer in Kansas anymore. I mean, the future is changing before our eyes. In higher education institutions, again, back to what I said before, where the leading universities of 250 years ago are the leading universities today, because they had this incredible franchise. Well, you look at the dissatisfaction. So I guess the answer partly is just to be aware, and just because you think things have been okay for a long time, and I guarantee you the 1,500 retailers that have been bankrupt in the last 20 years probably thought things were okay in 1999 too, right? And this internet thing was just a fad. I think when you look at the dissatisfaction of the students, they think what they get is worth it. It's not just money, it's also time, right? You looked at 25% of the people in their jobs is not relevant to their degree. So so I think part of it is going to be just, it's a wake up call. Second is the idea that, we gotta be on the front of our toes and be changing things, or it's gonna be changed upon us. Right? And I think of groups like, Arizona State University, which I didn't go to school there, but I got the fortune to meet Michael Crow, the president there 20 years ago. And he basically realized, his view at Arizona State was if they didn't change things dramatically, they wouldn't exist. And not only did they change things, but the last 8 years, as you might know, they were ranked the most innovative university in the United States of America. And it was a bunch of things, but it was clock speed sped up. It was, what are the skills of the future? What are the things that we're going to need? What's our mission, and how are we going to do this better, faster, cheaper? The formula, higher education education is general. Is thought it was immune from basic forces of nature, but faster, cheaper, better is gonna win every time. And again, being left alone for a long time, but basically letting tuition costs go 3.5 times inflation for 45 years, and dissatisfied in these jobs of the future. All this is a recipe that says change needs to be, you can't react to problems, you got to anticipate opportunities. And so what I'd encourage everybody, again, it's it takes a village, but one is a little bit of a commercial. We do have this Education Innovation Summit we do with Arizona State in San Diego, April 14th to the 17th. You'll be around a lot of people that are trying to reinvent or trying to invent the future. So I encourage you to come to that. We'll try to put other things on. I'd love to plug you into the community. Was mentioned before. We moved to Dallas 2 years ago. I'm very proud to live in the state of Texas. I couldn't be more excited about trying to be a teammate of y'all. How's that, y'all? And we'll figure this out together. So thank you.
I have one more question. I'm back here. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So you're preaching to the choir. We know our value, right? But what is the motivation for the public's thought process of really questioning the value of learning in higher ed? Is it because we're outdated? Is it because people don't really want to come out of the pandemic? Is it because we're trying to figure out, and if we can figure that out, I think we can plan better for the future. But combating the value question that the media has picked up on is really become an issue. Now that we have a larger group of minority students actually attending higher ed, now we're questioning whether or not higher ed is valuable.
Well, again, the proof will ultimately be in the pudding. So historically, it has been valuable to too narrow group of people, right? And back to this idea of elite equals scarcity. If that becomes if that's the future definition of elite, we're all in trouble. Elite equals excellence, and what the opportunity is, and the role of the people, not preaching the choir, but the role is reaching all people and giving them an opportunity to participate in the future, the foundation of which is having access to quality education knowledge. What was said before, but that's driven by outcomes. You can't say, well, this is valuable to you. It has to be shown in the marketplace, and not just the marketplace, but people feeling like they have purposeful, meaningful lives. They feel like what they're taking education, what they're accumulating education to do is to thrive and thrive in every aspect. So ultimately, what the people in this room have this incredible obligation and opportunity to do is basically power the future. Power the future, and these problems, you look at all the problems we have. And a lot of these problems are created by the fact that people feel like they're not getting a fair shake to their future. And they're feeling like their college education isn't getting the return on their time. Not just what they paid, it's the time they spent and what they thought they were getting. So that's the opportunity. And again, I think it's not just a 4-year or 2-year opportunity or 4-year opportunity. It's a 40-year opportunity. It's a 40-year opportunity for you to be being the most valuable resource that could be imagined for people to thrive. And so with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Tell you what. My brain is limping right now. That was so good to take us through all of this. Michael, thank you so much. Cliff, you did good. You're already on for next year's keynote. I will tell you, one thing I was thinking about was if, Rip Van Winkle back in the 1700s went and took a nap and woke up 20 years later, not much would be changed. Today, if he took a 20-minute nap, the world would be vastly different. And that's kind of where we are right now. That's why we've got to keep up as a college system. Our community colleges are right in the center of everything Michael talked about. I truly believe, are at the intersection of where people have been and where people are going. Folks, we are going to get this thing done. This is exciting. I can't wait for what's next. What's next is this afternoon. First of all, there's a little break. We will transition to this action-packed breakout sessions this afternoon. We will including innovative approaches to career navigation, inspiring responses to the mental health crisis, and scalable technology solutions for student engagement and support. Let me take a moment to highlight that the Chairs Council meeting will occur during the second round of breakout sessions at 2:45. First round is at 1:45, second round at 2:45 in the Colorado room right across the hall. And each college is welcome to send either the chair or a proxy to attend the Chairs Council meeting. At 4:30, then the fun really begins tonight. Across the lawn, back here at the Paddock Barn. It's like across a little bridge over here. I went there last night. It's a lot of fun. You'll see some signs directing you. Again, very, very fun day that we've had so far. Voting delegates, this is very important. Voting delegates, please sign in at the registration table right outside. Each college will have one vote for tomorrow's business meeting for our election. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to connecting with you for the evening plenary tonight on highlighting student voices and data-informed governance. Take a break.